So y'all know, if you've been following me for a while, that I had my run-ins with Airbnb, from Kenya with the roaches in the apartment and they're not wanting to refund, to Ghana where I would have arrived in Ghana and somebody was already in the Airbnb with the lady telling me that she didn't get any money. In Ghana again, when I booked an entire place and showed up and there was somebody else staying in one of the rooms and I had to fight for a refund then as well and for them to rebook a spot. And here I am again with what is probably the worst experience with them so far, and the last, because I'm absolutely done with Airbnb. The reason I was even in that Airbnb in the first place is a whole nother story for another time, but let's get into it. So I booked this place. It's a studio. It was advertised as a private space, the private backyard and private entrance. And because I'm a solo traveler, I don't intend to share a space with anybody. I feel safer when I'm in a space on my own. So I always make sure to look for a private space. So I booked the space. I'm in the space. You know me. I don't like no clothes. I'm chilling in my private backyard in my robe, talking to my friend, and up comes this random person to my gate. And the way how this property is set up is that the unit is on the back of a main house. So to get to the back of the property, you first have to come through the front gate, which locks from the inside. And then there's a second gate you push to get into the backyard and into the studio. So I'm sitting in my backyard and this guy comes up to the second gate. He was like, "Here's your package." I'm like, "Okay, thanks." So I grab the package and sit back down, continue talking to my friend. After about 15 minutes, this guy shows up again, and this time it's him and another guy, this bigger guy. And they pushed my gate and walked up to me as I'm there talking to my friend. And he says he's the owner. This guy is an inspector. They want to inspect the place. Me being the trusting person that I am, I guess, I'm like, well, it's messy right now, but I guess okay. And he was like, "That's no problem." They walk towards the door. They go into the apartment. This guy, literally walks through the unit for all of 1 minute, comes back outside. He's like, "Thumbs up, everything is okay." And the owner went on to look at my work. Then he's calling his wife. He's like, "Oh, I love your work. I need to show it to my wife." He calls his wife and she's in my space. She says she wants to tell her friends. So she pulls up her phone. I was like, "I can show you my website, whatever." She pulls up her phone and I can see my profile, my Airbnb profile is on her phone. So she has to kind of close that to then go search my website, whatever she's doing. And after that left, I'm like, but how were they even able to get into my backyard? Did I not lock the gate at the front? How is that even possible? So a couple days pass and it still isn't sitting right with me. I'm looking over my shoulder every time, expecting somebody to kind of pop in. It's traumatizing. Now I can't even be at peace in what was supposed to be my private space. So I messaged the owners and I'm like, "Hey, what's up with y'all dropping in without giving me notice? And also what's up with my private entrance? How are you even able to get in? Because I locked the gate at the front." And this is the message that they replied, which did not explain to me at all why my privacy was violated, why they were able to push my gate and walk upon me like that while I was sitting there inappropriately dressed. So then I call Airbnb. I'm like, "Hey, I would have booked a private space, for whatever reason, the owner decided to show up unannounced. He just walked in. I didn't even realize it was possible for him to come right up on my space like that. I'm gonna need a refund because the whole reason that I booked this place was because I wanted a private spot. And here I am with my safety being violated. These two men running up on me, a solo traveler, barely even got clothes on, in my backyard." So the lady that I initially spoke with, she was like, "That's terrible. I totally understand as a female myself. We're going to try and get you a refund at least up until the date that they provided a lock." Because they did, after we had the back and forth, suggest that they bring a lock for the second gate. I felt like I needed a full refund, but I was like, okay, cool. If I can get a refund up until the point that they brought the lock, I guess it can lock now. Nobody can walk up in here. I'm annoyed, but it's fine. I got an email again with a lady talking about the least they could have done is giving you some notice, blah, 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 blah. I can even put a screenshot of that here. So I'm in this battle trying to get this refund, because there's always a battle. I'm in this battle trying to get this refund back from Airbnb, who now does not even allow you to talk to anyone from any specific department. The only people you can talk to is the call center employees, which they don't know anything. They can't even call the departments, the correct departments for whatever complaint you have. So it's like talking to a friggin' brick wall. Every time you get the same message, you get the same rehearsed message. It's absolutely frustrating. So I'm fighting with them, trying to get this refund for this clear privacy violation. I've said to them, yo, I read your terms and conditions. I read your community standards. An Airbnb host is not allowed to just turn upon you like that without permission. You know, they're supposed to let you know, give you some kind of notice as to when they're coming by. So as I'm like having this dispute with Airbnb about my privacy being violated, we had some bad weather. And I remember waking up and stepping out of the bedroom and the entire floor was wet. And then I look up and I notice the roof is like leaking. It's leaking all over my paintings. They're now covered in all types of water stains. And I had a bag that I brought back from South Africa, which was also ruined. I had artwork that was given to me by a friend of mine that came all the way from Egypt. And because of the fibers that it was painted on, the paint would have cracked. And that's now absolutely ruined as well. I had the water dripping down into electrical outlets, which is clearly a hazard. All of this, and Airbnb said, absolutely not. We're not gonna give you no freaking refund. So I would have messaged the owner and be like, hey, your place is leaking. It damaged my stuff. This is the cost of the things that were damaged. Gonna need compensation from you or Airbnb because, you know, I booked this place for safety. Clearly, that's not what it is. She proceeds to tell me, my place is not a storage unit. You should have had insurance, and she's not covering anything. So then I have to take it up with Airbnb. Airbnb is longing this out. Like, I'm getting one email every 3 days with absolutely nothing of substance. Nobody's calling me. I can't talk to an actual human. And then after the end of 4 weeks, they're going to tell me, hey, we're going to give you $500. And on top of that, we're not going to refund you for the privacy violation because upon looking at the evidence, it didn't seem like any of our community standards weren't followed. And I'm like, what, excuse me? I sent you your own policy, which clearly shows that these motherfuckers went against the community guidelines. So why are we here like just lying in my emails like this? Like, what are you saying? I tried to dispute that, and they said, well, this is the final decision. We're not going to message you on this again. They're not going to refund me for the privacy violation. And also, they're still only giving me $500 after I would have incurred almost $6,000 in damages on my pieces. So, yeah, I had to get a lawyer. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm just supposed to be okay with staying in an apartment where somebody came up on me in my private space, well, advertised a private space that wasn't even private. A space that leaked all over my property, $6,000 in damages. A property that had water running into electrical outlets is clearly not even safe. It's a hazard. And you don't want to give me back no money at all? I'm supposed to just be content paying for that space. Nah, it's absolutely disgusting. It's gross. And I refuse to just roll over and take it. I've been to a lawyer, and I am going to see how far I can take this before it becomes too expensive, because absolutely they should not be able to take advantage of people like that and get away with it.